First reading, a reading from the prophet Isaiah. How beautiful on the mountains are the feet of one who brings good news, who heralds peace, brings happiness, proclaims salvation, and tells Zion, your God is King. Listen, your watchmen raise their voices. They shout for joy together, for they see the Lord face to face as he returns to Zion. Break into shouts of joy together, you ruins of Jerusalem. For the Lord is consoling the people, redeeming Jerusalem. The Lord bears his holy arm in the sight of the nations, and the ends of the earth shall see the salvation of our God. The word of the Lord. Sing a new song to the Lord, for he has worked wonders. His right hand and his holy arm have brought salvation.
All the ends of the earth have seen the salvation of our God.
The Lord has made known his salvation, has shown his justice to the nations. He has remembered his truth and love for the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth have seen the salvation of our God. Shout to the Lord, all the earth. Ring out your joy. Sing psalms to the Lord with the harp, with the sound of music, with trumpets and the sound of the horn. Acclaim the King, the Lord.
Second reading, a reading from the letter to the Hebrews. At various times in the past and various different ways, God spoke to our ancestors, to the prophets, but in our own time, the last days, he has spoken to us through his Son, the Son that has appointed to inherit everything, and through whom he made everything there is. He is the radiant light of God's glory and the perfect copy of his nature, sustaining the universe by his powerful command. And now that he has destroyed the defilement of sin, he has gone to take his place in heaven at the right hand of divine majesty. So he is now as far above the angels as the title which he has inherited, higher than the own name. God has never said to any angel, you are my son. Today I have become your father, or I will be a father to him, and he a son to me. Again, and he brings the firstborn into the world. He says, let the angels of God worship him. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
A hallowed day has dawned upon us. Come, ye nations, worship the Lord, For today a great light has shone down upon the earth.
Alleluia. Alleluia. Alleluia.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things came to be. Not one thing had its being but through him. All that came to be had life in him, and that life was the light of man. A light that shines in the dark, a light that darkness could not overpower. A man came, sent by God. His name was John. He came as a witness to speak for the light, so that everyone might believe through him. He was not the light, only a witness to speak for the light. The Word was the true light that enlightens all men. And he was coming into the world. He was in the Word that had its being through him. And the Word that not knowing him, he came to his own domain, and his own people did not accept him. But to all who did accept him, he gave power to become children of God. To all who believe in the name of him who was born, not out of human stock or urge of the flesh, or will of man, but of God himself. The Word was made flesh. He lived among us, and we saw his glory, the glory that is his as the only Son of the Father, full of grace and truth. John appears as the witness. He proclaims, "This is the one of whom I said, he who comes after me ranks before me, because he existed before me." Indeed, from his fullness we have all of us received, yes, grace in return for grace, since through the law was given to Moses, grace and truth have come through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God. It is the only Son who is the nearest of Father's heart who has made him known. The Gospel of the Lord. Thank you, Lord. What we are celebrating today is not a fairy tale. It's not a Harry Potter book or film or movie. Please lower the sound. It is history. We are celebrating the birth of Christ. Put off that, yes. This technology. Now, he put off everything. No. The sound, that's it. Thank you. Since the beginning of the world, put off those mics, please. Put it off. Yes. And the other one too. Yes. Hopefully we work like that. No. Lower the sound, the main. Okay. Sorry about this. We need to remember that we are celebrating today history. And this is not something like a fairy tale or a Harry Potter film. This is the truth that God came to us and took our flesh. And why did he do this? Because man, from the very beginning of the earth, thousands and thousands of years, have seen the devastation of the earth, have seen the injustice, have seen the poverty, have seen the injustice that people were enslaved by others, wars, against people, nations against each other. And so they pleaded to God, please send us a Messiah to heal us, to save us from this disaster that is going on. And God heard their pleas, their prayers, and came down on earth, took our body, took our nature, and lived with us. But man did not recognize him, as we have seen from the gospel today. A little baby in a manger, he can hardly feed himself. How can he save the world? That was not what a Messiah they wanted. They wanted someone who was strong, someone who was a king, who had an army, who could beat all nations, who would be a superhuman and cure all diseases in the world. That's what man wanted. Sometimes we behave like that. This pandemic, where is God? Cannot God take off this pandemic and we go back to normal life? This is what sometimes we feel. Like that, on the cross, Jesus chose, because God chooses other ways from those of human beings. God chooses the poor, the child, the vulnerable, the less important. When he was on the cross, crucified by the people he helped and cured in his lifetime, the same people, one of them said, if you are what you are saying you are, if you are so powerful, why don't you save yourself and save us? And deep down, we would have liked God to appear there and then, kill all those people in front of him, and come out powerful as a strong, superhuman man. That's sometimes we behave, even today, in this pandemic. Where is God, we say? And Pope Francis, in his latest books, he told us where is God. God is in the scientists, in those scientists who are working day and night to find a vaccine to combat this virus. God is in those surgeons, in those nurses, in those doctors, in those people working in Mater Dei or in hospitals, frontliners, risking their lives to help others. There is God. God is also in us all when we wear the mask and keep to the instructions and to the rules of health, because we respect and love each other and we don't want this virus to spread. This is what God wants. This is where God is. Because God asked, when he came down on earth, he told us, I did not make a perfect word for you and you can live it without any problems at all. The world is going to have problems. Evil is with you. But you have to fight this evil. The world is still being created, and we are taking part in this creation. God wants us to be creators of the world. That's why when he came down, he invited us to share in this kingdom of love. in this kingdom of compassion, in this kingdom of forgiveness, and to take part to change the world. So it's up to us now to combat the virus. It's up to us to work with others, for other people, to forgive and to love. I have just finished reading this very thick book, finished by Christmas, exactly. I loved every moment of it. This is the autobiography of Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. This is a marvelous book that speaks of this man who for 27 years was in prison fighting. He didn't kill anybody, he didn't commit any crime, he was just trying to overcome apartheid, discrimination and the enslavement of poor people in Africa. And you know what he said? The first thing when he came out of prison, the first thing he said was, "As I walked out of the door of prison toward my freedom, I knew that if I did not leave all the anger, hatred, and bitterness behind, I would still be in prison." This is a man of God. This is a saint who has spoken thus, who has forgiven immediately people who put him there innocently for 27 years, ruined his family, gave up his family, his private life and everything for others. And look again what he said at the end of his biography. "I always knew that deep down in every human heart there was mercy and generosity. No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin, or his background, or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. Even in the grimmest times in prison, when my comrades and I were pushed to our limits, I would see a glimmer of humanity in one of my guards, because just for a second, but it was enough to treasure me, to reassure me, and keep me going. Man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden, but never extinguished." I repeat this last sentence, how beautiful it is. Man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden, but never extinguished. So these are the people that we should emulate. We are asked to help each other, to give to each other, to be generous to each other, and change the world that we are living in, including the pandemic that we are going through. Yes, we can change by obeying the rules at the moment, by not going out, by not enjoying ourselves, our freedom as we usually do, and at the same time going out there when we go out, or we have to go out, by being good, by being helpful, by loving others, by forgiving others. Let's read this prayer at the end of the screen. Dear God, you have chosen to join our efforts. You claim into our word, just as we have vetted from the womb of your mother. I give you thanks and praise for that precious gift of life, begun infinitely and continue to its ultimate goal. Help me always to appreciate this presence and to say with beauty and grace, with those who are most in need of a Savior, who understand what it is to be a marvelous Savior. Let me share the wonder of their existence, pregnant